Hey all, PushDustIn here. I want to spend some time today discussing the controversy over the models in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I'll be taking a critical look at the original Japanese and try to explain what happened and where things might have gone astray. For those of you who don't know me, I provide a lot of translations in the Smash Bros. Community. I've worked on most of the Sakurai column translations that have appeared on various websites and channels. Before, I used to work with Source Gaming, a website that started, but I've since gone freelance. I still provide translations on the Sakurai columns to this day, but mostly on my own personal Twitter account. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's go back to the source and see what was said. The controversial line originates from a Famitsu interview with Masuda and Omori. Omori is the director of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and Masuda has been involved with Pokemon since the beginning. The interview dates back to June 2019, around E3. After the interview, various websites and people have provided their own translations. Siliconora did one, Polygon kinda did one, and Nintendo Life even hired a translator from Gengo.com to do one. Just today, another one popped up on the Pokemon subreddit which breaks down the translation line by line. Comparing all of these, I think the one on Nintendo Life and the Reddit one are the best, but there are some notes that I would like to include. First, Japanese does not have plurals, so the word for model and models is the same word in Japanese. There's no difference. Next, I'd like to really hone in on that line. Model o saisho kara tsukuri naosu koto ni nari is probably best translated as we had to remake models from scratch. For the full sentence, I probably would translate it the following way. Now that we are working with Nintendo Switch, and some or all the models had to be remade from scratch, we had to make a decision on if we were bringing back all the Pokemon or not. The second point I want to make is while Omori's last statement is important, I think it's also important to understand it in context. The post on the Pokemon subreddit by Walamato does this really well. This is what Walamato had to say. Now, some will say Omori and Masuda have mentioned elsewhere that the reasons for cutting the number of Pokemon was because of gameplay balance and for better animations. That's true, they did say that. However, these things are not mutually exclusive. They've given a number of reasons to explain their decision to cull the Pokédex, and there's no reason to believe that the decision was to do one thing only. So taking all that in mind, I really wanted to get the opinion of people who are actually involved with the video game industry on this issue. I remember Masahiro Sakurai claiming that fighters are remade between each iteration of Smash before, and I began wondering if there's some sort of disconnect between what people in and out of the industry think, as it doesn't seem that the fighters are remade from scratch for every Smash game. So I asked 6 individuals who have experience within the game industry what they thought. These individuals hold a variety of positions at different companies. I collected these responses anonymously, as I wanted the response to be truthful with their opinions. In particular, I asked about the verb tsukuri naosu, and if it had a different meaning in English, and their thoughts on the controversy if they're familiar with it. The first game developer I talked to told me that the implication of making over is pretty strong, so even if everything wasn't thrown away, they'd essentially be making it again from square one. A different individual told me that it totally depends on the situation, and it could mean just remaking certain parts or even rethinking parts. Another individual told me this, and I want to quote this. While it might mean to literally to remake, in practical terms, it might mean a thorough revision. It's very similar to doing a rewrite of a draft, with the first draft looking nothing like the final. They then conclude that there's enough wiggle room to be vague. Essentially, what I took from these 3 individuals and the other 3 that I talked to is that it's incredibly vague and there's a lot of ambiguity. I also asked them what they thought about the controversy and if they wanted some people outside of the game industry to know and understand. The first thing that I heard from several people is that making models for video games is not a simple process. There's a lot of work to complete just to get one character in the game. Artsy Omni actually recently made a post about this on Twitter. He says, I just hope that people understand that there's a lot more to a character model in a game than just the vertex positions. There is vertex weights for rig influence, blend shapes, UVs, several texture maps, which include diffuse, normal, metalness, roughness, etc. Essentially, what Artsy Omni has told us, and others have mentioned to me, is that there's a lot to get a model to just display. There's also a lot of other work to do with it. There's of course the animation, the programming, the sound effects, debugging, balancing. There's a lot of things that people have to do in order to add a single model into the game. One of the individuals in the game industry that I talked to had told me this. In the case of Pokemon, there is a built-in maintenance cost that has become untenable with trying to bring every Pokemon back. There are also bound to be some concerns about gameplay experiences, as the got 'em catch 'em all aspect approaching 1000 Pokemon isn't anywhere nearly as focused as the original 151. So all in all, I think there's a lot of reasons why the full Pokédex didn't come back. Having to create models from scratch is just one of the reasons. I think in the end, this controversy is going to cause a lot more hesitation for developers to discuss these issues publicly, and will leave fans with less insight into the actual development process. But I hope this video has provided you with more insight into the controversy and some opinions surrounding it. In the end, if you are still upset about the full Pokédex not being available in Sword and Shield, it's okay to be upset. I'm not discounting your feelings. But I do think accusing a developer of intentionally misleading fans isn't really fair to that developer, especially when other people have translated their words. If you want to learn more about Pokemon, I'd highly suggest you check out the video that is made by my friend and co-host, Ben. He talks about why Mew may be the most important Pokemon of all time. We are also planning on having a weekly upload schedule, so make sure to subscribe to this channel to see more content. Let us know how you feel in the comments below, and thanks for watching this video all the way until the end. This is PushDustIn, signing out.